guys, it's Reagan and welcome to my January book haul. This video is being sponsored in part by Disney Book Group and Wednesday Books. I have so many books to show off in this book haul, and honestly I'm not even showing off all the books today because I filmed a book shopping vlog and that has its own vlog. Basically, I've done a lot of book shopping in January. It's mostly because I've just accumulated a lot of full series. But anyway, without further ado, let's dive right into the video. First book I'm going to show off is the Perustopia Book Club Pick of the Month for the month of January, and this month Sasha and I picked The Wicked King by Holly Black. This is a new 2019 January release and is book 2 to the Cruel Prince series. I have already read this book. Man, and this is a dark face series that will rip your soul out, eat it in front of you, and then laugh at you afterwards. This is a fae-centered fantasy YA story that has a very much hate to love, hate-fueled kind of romance. We follow our main character Jude, who's fully human and was basically kidnapped as a child and raised in the fae world. She's just trying to survive and carve out her own little piece of power to no longer be taken advantage of by a people, the fae, that literally just torment for fun. And the way that she carves out this power is becoming a spy. So she gets wrapped up in a bunch of court politics. This series is absolutely captivating, rich, and just like I said, will destroy you on the inside, but incredibly entertaining. Next book I have to show you guys is Dragon Pearl by Yoon-Ha Lee. Now this is pitched as basically a middle grade space opera mixed with Korean mythology, which just sounds like the exact sort of thing I need in my life. I am trying to read more sci-fi this year, so this really appeals to me. This follows our main character Min, who's 13 years old, and she comes from a long line of fox spirits. Her family, for as long as she can remember, has always had ties to this type of magic. However, her mother has always forbidden her entire family from using it, as it will kind of draw unwanted attention to themselves. Min resents these household rules. She resents her endless chores, as well as her cousins who she feels like endlessly crowd her. But most of all, she resents her home planet, which she just wants to escape and go into space. She's counting down the days until she can follow in her older brother's footsteps, June, and join the space forces to see the Thousand Worlds. However, one day her brother is denounced and accused of leaving his post to seek out the mythical item, the Dragon Pearl. Her Min does not believe this. She knows that her brother would never leave his post no matter what, so she goes out on a journey to basically clear her brother's name, and in doing this she basically starts a space quest. She runs into space pirates, she meets all sorts of wacky characters across the universe, and it just sounds absolutely like so much fun. Again, I have been wanting to read much more sci-fi. It's something that I have been really enjoying lately, and I really like how this also includes some fantastical elements to it. It just sounds like something I'm really going to enjoy, so I cannot wait to pick this up. So excited to have this. The next book I have to show off is one of my most anticipated books of the year, and that is The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi. Roshni is one of my favorite YA fantasy authors, so I was obviously very excited when she announced that she was coming out with a new book, and now that I have it in my hands, I'm even more excited. This novel is set in Paris, kind of on the cusp of a huge change, historically speaking anyway. It's 1889 and France has started to be transformed by the Industrial Revolution. New types of industry, new types of people are coming into power, new avenues of money have been introduced in the city, etc. We follow our main character Severien, who is a treasure hunter and like luxury hotel owner. And he is essentially hired at the beginning of this novel to hunt down a very powerful and ancient artifact, and he, in turn, creates kind of a ragtag team of individuals to do so. I love a good treasure hunter, thief-esque style story. It always one that really entertains me deeply. I really enjoy this 19th century Parisian setting. I think it'll add a lot of decadence and elegance and ambiance to this narrative, so I'm super excited to pick this one up. Next up, I have my first box set to show off, and it is the Keepers series. These books are really heavy, by Shannon Messenger. I read the first novel in December and quickly purchased the hardcover box set because I enjoyed it so much, but let me just show you the books. We have the first two novels. The first one is Keepers of the Lost City, then we have Keepers of the Lost City's Exile. Next we have Keepers of the Lost City's Everblaze, and then book 4 is Keeper of the Lost City Never Seen. These covers are so cute. And lastly, of the ones I bought, it's Keepers of the Lost City's Lodestar. It's just an incredible middle grade fantasy series that I have just been loving every second of. I fly through each one I pick up, and it's just been a joy to basically read it for the first time. This is a story that follows our main character Sophie, who is quite an extraordinary girl. She has a photographic memory, she excels really well in school, and more than that, she's also a telepath. She can read other people's minds. She's been keeping this secret her whole entire life. One day her whole life changes forever when she runs into a character Fitz, and she basically discovers that one, she's not alone with her telepathy, but two, she's not even human. She's actually an elf, and from there she's transported to this whole new world. She's like enrolled in a new magic school, and she's basically like thrown into a bunch of politics and mystery. Again, this is a series I really love. It has so much fun magic and a huge cast of characters that are all very different from each other, but like offer so much to the story. Additionally, I feel like the story is much richer and deals with a lot of darker topics that I wasn't necessarily anticipating when I picked it up. But so far I've read the first 2 books and I'm really liking it. I think there's 7 books out right now, so can't wait to read all of those. But I now have the first 5 to marathon. While we're on the topic of full series, I also have the newly released Artemis Fowl covers on hand, and these were very much kindly sent to me by Disney Book Group, so big shout out to them for sending these my way, because this is one of my all-time favorite series when I was a kid, so I'm super excited to now have them on hand to reread. And I was also excited to find out that they're turning Artemis Fowl into a movie. Yes, let's quickly run through all of these. So first we have the first 3 novels. The first one, of course, is Artemis Fowl. Then we have the Arctic Incident. And next up we have the Eternity Code. Again, I really like these covers. I like how they're all illustrated. They're kind of like comic booky. They're very vibrant. Big fan. And we have the Opal Deception, the Lost Colony, and the Time Paradox, 4, 5, and 6. Lastly, I have the Atlantis Complex and The Last Guardian, the final 2 novels. Again, one of my all-time favorite series growing up. We all know I love middle grade fantasy, so this is definitely one I want to try to reread this year because it has been so long since I've picked up this series. Definitely one of my goals for 2019. Next book I have to show off is The Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. Yes, I already own this book, but I bought the UK editions of the 2nd and the 3rd novel because they're beautiful. I would have bought it for the first one too, but it's like sold out. You can't find it. It's out of print. But just look at this cover. It's so beautiful. This is one of my favorite series, so I basically allowed myself to buy a 2nd edition of it just because it just sparked so much joy in my life. I saw this and I just needed it right away. It's so beautifully illustrated, but this is a historical fantasy series following our main character Vasya, who has magical powers, has to save her family. Set in 15th century Russia. It has so much like folklore to it. It's incredible, extraordinary, has so much atmosphere. Again, one of my favorite series, so I bought another edition of it because I'm weak. Next up is The Last Life of Prince Alistair, which is Prosper Redding Book 2 by Alexander Bracken. I read The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding last year around Halloween, and I really liked it. It's a really fun, kind of like spooky, demon-centered, middle grade series, and this particular story follows our main character Prosper Redding, who's possessed by a family demon, who's trying to enact revenge on his entire family, and he's basically trying to fight back. The first book did have quite a bit of like a cliffhanger, so I'm actually really excited to see where this story takes off. Again, it's just funny and kooky and eerie, and I'll try to save it for Halloween, but we'll see. I might pick it up before then. Next up is The Night Tiger by Yang-Chi Shou. I own another book by her. This is the same author who wrote The Ghost Bride, and these covers together just look absolutely beautiful. But this was the book I picked up from Book of the Month this month, and it just sounds really incredible, very transporting. This is a literary fiction novel set in the 30s in colonial Malaysia, and it says to have all sorts of things, but basically a world of servants and masters, age-old superstition and modern idealism, sibling rivalry, and forbidden love. Sounds incredibly interesting. I have been meaning to read The Ghost Bride for forever, so when I saw she had a new book coming out, I was like, well, might as well add to the collection of books I really want to read by this author. And the very last 2 books I'm going to show off are kind of a preview to the bookstore shopping vlog and book haul I'm posting very soon after this video. But the first novel that I picked up from the bookstore was My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. This is a book that I have been meaning to read for a very long time. It's very beloved. Elena Ferrante is one of the most famous Italian authors. This is a translation and has recently been transformed into an HBO show. So I feel feel like that was kind of the final push. I realized I needed to buy it and read it, but this is a tale of friendship over many, many years. It follows two young girls basically becoming the closest of friends as they kind of grow up in a rough neighborhood in Italy in the 50s. Again, I've heard incredible things about this. I really love that it's kind of friendship centered. It sounds like a really charming and beautiful story, and apparently Elena Ferrante like captures the essence of friendship so wonderfully and apparently perfectly, so I grabbed it. The last book to show off is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. This is a book I've actually already read, but it was about 4 years ago, and I basically want to give it another try. I read it and I found it initially okay, but I have this like feeling that I'm just super wrong about that, and I need to give this book another try because one, this author is one that I really want to fall in love with. Two, this won the Hugo Award, and three, like all of her books are widely beloved, that I feel like I was just wrong when I first read it. So the only way to see if that's the case, test my hypothesis, is give this book another try. This is a first book in a trilogy that has a lot of complex origins, but it's basically a kingdom that has enslaved the gods they once worshipped, so they have been basically trapped and they're under the power of the new current monarchs. But the story also starts with the Great Red Rift and also with death, the death of a powerful son and the missing daughter from this time period. And I think we follow that daughter as she kind of comes to age and re-enters the kingdom to try to take it back. Honestly, I don't really remember a lot about this book, which also stands to reason why I need to reread it to form an accurate opinion. So I picked it up because this is definitely a book I want to get to very, very soon. Alrighty guys, those are all the books I picked up this January. Let me know down below some books you've picked up recently, as I would love to know. And I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!